Welcome to Charts Today, US Open. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 6th of December, comes to you from London, and we're just 5 minutes away from the opening of the US market. And the future's suggesting we're going to see, the Nasdaq E-mini is down over 2%. We're seeing markets across Europe all the way down, so really quite key. The dollar is down a little bit as well, so still holding its bullish trend. Gold is actually one of the few things that's up today, up a third of a percent, safe haven there. So we really are seeing just markets in a bit of a spin. Looking at the FTSE 100 index, for example, we're down over 2.5%. A very big fall there in the market, and we'll see shortly what's going to happen in the US. Taking just a quick look at Europe, in fact, if we look at the FTSE 100 index, we've got just four stocks up, so it gives you an idea of just how heavily things are falling. We've got Antofagasta down 7%, Prudential down 6%, Schroders down 5%. Financial's been particularly badly hit, Legal and General down 5%. Really big falls here. A lot of stocks in bear trends with downside targets, so we are just seeing that impact. Looking at some of the other markets, just looking at the 250 index, the mid caps in the UK, Thomas Cook down 13%, Invido down 12%. We're seeing really quite big falls. Premier Oil down 10%, just starting to break into bearish territory on their long-term chart. And if we look at across Europe, just across the Euro Stock 600, all this data coming to you from Yahoo Finance. So if we just rank by percentage, you see Invited there. Software, SAP down 7%, Rotork down 7.3%. We're seeing some really big moves to the downside. And again, if we look at the upside, out of 600 stocks, it really is similar to the FTSE, only a handful of stocks, relatively speaking, rising. SimCorp up 3%, and Laser and Helsinki up 2.6%. But these are the bright spots in what is a pretty bad day on the market. And we will, in a moment, just get the Nasdaq opening. So just again, just looking at some of the other indices, the DAX down 2.8%, making new two-year lows. Really, we're seeing right back to December 2016 now on the DAX. So two-year low there is pretty bad. The FTSE also making similarly nearly a two-year low. So markets really starting to post some very big falls indeed. The CAC 40 in Paris also back to levels not seen since early 2017, down 2.7%. And in Asia overnight, we had the Hang Seng down 2.4%. Tokyo was down 2%, and the Chinese market, still a big worry on the charts, with lots of downside targets, was down 1.7%. So we have seen some quite significant moves there. Looking at US 10-year yields, these sinking lower as well on the sentiment, 2.87%. We've got a downside target of 275. We'll soon be unwinding some of these big upside targets. So interestingly, the whole sentiment picture has changed there. The yield curve is inverted now, such that 5-year yields are yielding less now than 1 and 2-year yields. So we're seeing the shorter dated yields, it's just switched completely, where the outlook is changing, and so we're seeing that really showing up in bond prices. The German bond market actually rocketing today on that sentiment change. Again, another flight to safety. So if we look back to, this is all coming to you from Thomson Reuters Icon, this data, or if you're using Metastock, Zenith as a private user, the same data. And if we look here back at the Yahoo data, looking to the US market. So I'm going to take a quick look at the world indices will start to see these open any minute now, and it'll be interesting to see how these markets open. And we're just looking at the index itself. The S&P 500 market was down pretty heavily. We're seeing now these markets just starting to kick in, and the volatility in Europe just as we go to the opening bell. But the S&P still medium-term bearish. Much the same performance as the Dow. It was outperforming, of course, the Dow, but we're now seeing that coming back. And again, Dow representing a little bit of a flight to safety. The Nasdaq also still pretty much in a downtrend, and of course, this open when we see it will be quite significant on the Nasdaq as well. Some of the tech majors. I mean, this was Tuesday. We were closed, remember, yesterday for George Bush Memorial Day, but we will see as the market opens some pretty big falls coming in here on the Nasdaq, and we're just waiting for those prices now to update from Yahoo in real time. The US markets are real time on Yahoo. The European markets are delayed. Here we go. We're seeing the prices now kicking in at the open. And that's really significant. If we look at Amazon, just opened down another 3%. So we're seeing that move just here. That dot is that move down on Amazon. So looking worrying there. Apple down 2.5%. And again, getting ready to make a new low, multi-month low starting to kick in. So we are seeing a lot of selling pressure. Google down some 1.3%, so we're seeing that as well. In fact, if we rank just by performance, we see there are a few stocks that are just rising at the open, but only a few. If we go the other way, see where the big fallers are, we are seeing some pretty big falls here. And in terms of some of the bigger names, Analog Devices down 4%, Workday down 4%, and we are just seeing Amazon there, more prices just kicking in as we get these real-time updates on the market. So really significant that we are seeing quite big falls. Just looking at the S&P 500, how that's faring. This is all 500 stocks also coming off Yahoo. We are seeing some stocks still rising. Synopsys up 3.4%, but if we go to the downside, we've got some really big moves here. Concho down 9%, Quanta Services down 8%, Ameritise Financial down 7%. So we are seeing just big waves of selling. Looking at the Dow 30, and we've got two rises. Walgreens up 0.4% and Verizon up 0.2%. The trend in Verizon looking pretty positive, and that relative chart to the Dow showing that off and upside target. So not everything is falling, but nearly everything is falling. And again, these prices coming into you live from Yahoo. Taking a look here, Caterpillar down 3%. That chart starting to really put the weekly trend under pressure. Microsoft down 3%. So we're seeing really quite a big sell-off across the board. Apple now down 2.8%, starting to test that low that we saw last month. So not a great open start to the day, and we'll just need to see whether the market can recover. Keep an eye on the charts. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.